Okay, back at it again with another deep dive video. Hopefully all of you guys are keeping well, but my work with the Two-Face Academy research has not ended. I wanted to do more digging, and it looks like I have personally found a lot of information that is very sus to me that is already publicly there anyways. Hey guys, it's Murad Morali. Hopefully you guys are all doing well today. Back at it again with another video. If you have not subscribed, click that button guys. It is daily and consistent content. Subscribe to the channel and let's get straight into this video. So we all know what the Two-Face Academy Theatre is. It's a place for young children to go, to be inspiring actors and actresses, and something that they can attend after school, run by a few people, one of them being Simon Schofield and Phillip Schofield being a patron who donated a lot of money to make sure that this place was funded. And of course, they went into presenting themselves and theatre and acting, so there are common interests in what they have to what these children want. I already did an initial video discussing the relationship between Simon and Phillip, the relationship between Two-Face Academy, and just basically putting things together and how weird it looked. But I felt like there was more, and I honestly feel like the initial video I did, which garnered a lot of traction, and I'm thankful and grateful for that, but I feel like it was just touching the surface. So, I just wanted to go back and look into a few more stuff. There is a guy who actually has interviewed people from the Two-Face Academy. And of course, their voices have been changed for privacy, but this is basically what they have said. Whoever this guy is, he goes by the name of Joe Ward Official. Now, this could easily just be fake and not real. I like to put that out there as well, but this is basically what they have said.
I attended the Two-Face Theatre Company and came into contact with both Matthew McGreevy and Phillip Schofield.
The kind of student that always excelled. So Phil taking a special interest in him was not unexpected.
Thinking back on it now, the relationship was highly inappropriate. I remember at least 2 or 3 times Matthew telling us that himself and Phil would hang out, go for drives in Phil's car, or go for ice cream.
The Schofield's family association with the group was always well publicised. I assumed to give opportunities and open doors for the students.
At first we thought Matthew was lying to make us jealous, but when the videos came out on the internet a few years later, we all knew it was true. They were definitely texting regularly back then, even at the time when we were all around the ages of about 14 or 15.
Looking back now, they spent a lot of time together from around 14 or so.
Everyone knew, even those in charge of the company.
As my child, I would definitely be worried.
So they've come out to say that Phil would hang out and go for drives with Matthew, in his car, or they would go for ice cream. And that the Schofield Family Association with the group, I assume, to give opportunities and open doors. At first, we thought Matthew was lying to make us jealous, but when the video came out on the internet a few weeks ago, whatever, we all knew it was true. They were definitely texting regularly back then, even at the time when we were all around the ages of, 14, 15, 16. Looking back now, they spent a lot of time together from around 14 or so. If it was my child, I would definitely be worrying about what is going on. So this gives credence to somebody else who spoke out from the Two-Face Academy Theatre in a Reddit blog. They had said themselves that they looked at Phillip, felt like he was being a creep. The kid was sitting on his lap. Phillip, was visibly making that person who looked at Phillip feel uncomfortable. And as a 10-year-old, if you have that memory, it's probably true in my opinion. So we have already that submission from somebody else at Two-Face Academy Theatre. Then there's pictures of Phil knowing Matthew, of course, when he was very young, and just very sus pictures between Simon and Matthew that look very odd. You also have that as well. And then you have these 2 submissions from 2 different people who wanted to come forward via this person if it is true. Now, the fact that there are other people saying stuff, not just these 2, gives credence in my ability. It does add credibility. We don't know if it's true, but again, there are more people. I personally would love to interview, have a discussion with anybody from the Two-Face Academy Theatre, because, and ask them proper questions, because they may have seen things or, have some kind of flashbacks of what was happening. Because my theory, and that this is just what I personally feel, I'm not saying that this is true, but I feel like the Two-Face Academy Theatre is a grooming ground for these children, where these grown people know what these children want. They want to be in the acting world, presenting and go forth that way, and these elder people have that. They also have those connections, and therefore they would want to lure in those who are really desperate for XYZ in many ways and groom them, and then wait till they're legal to then become intimate with them. So therefore they jump over the legal loop and don't actually do anything, illegal, because the technicality of being accused of being grooming and being imprisoned for that is very hard to prove as well. So I think that is basically what my theory is of what this place is. And given the fact that if I was a parent and my child was going to this place knowing that Matthew was also there, I would be very worried. Period. I would be very, very worried. And not only that, moving forward to when the Two-Face Academy actually closed, in the meantime, the final curtain fell upon the Guide Bridge Stage School. In a letter dated the end of August in 2018, Simon and the Two-Face team informed parents that after a decade, the academy was going to close. Documents lodged at the company's house disclose the school suffered during its final summer term due to extra GCSE classes at mainstream schools for their exams. Therefore, attendance was affected and therefore overheads were not being met. Their final annual report states that successful students and family support from the school has been given this year on a number of issues, including safeguarding. So it looks like safeguarding was an issue for this entity, for this place, for this school. That was also something that was an issue. So again, it's very eerie to me. Very eerie to me. Bizarrely, on Tim Schofield's LinkedIn profile, which we all know what he's done, has had numerous endorsements for his crime prevention skills still. And these endorsements from people are police officers at the Avon and Somerset Constabulary where he used to work. Also, Miss Pam Pollard still endorses him for his crime prevention skills. And Miss Pam Pollard is a member of North Somerset's Children Safeguarding Board. So somebody who's on the Children's Safeguarding Board of North Somerset is endorsing somebody who's just been convicted of doing God knows what with children, minors at the age of 13. These are the people that we are dealing with, guys, and it's all over the world, and it's very much in our systems, under our noses, in the police systems, in the theatre companies. It's everywhere, in my opinion. And we only really see it in coverage when somebody as a public profile speaks about it. Now, some of you guys may know this next piece of information, but it is very, very odd, and I definitely want to get into this because this just creeps me out. It very creeps me out. So we all know about Jimmy Savile, the fact that he was on board the Conrad's Queen Elizabeth. He was a frequent passenger, guys, on both the Conrad and the P&O cruises. But who else was on board the Conrad's big liners in 2011 and 2012? One of the performing artists on board that inaugural cruise was Simon Schofield, a longtime friend of Phillip Schofield and of Matthew McGreevy. The runner boy, by all accounts, precipitated Phillip Schofield's recent coming out. Interesting, guys. And not only who else was on their board, but Jimmy Savile wasn't the only person of interest on board Conrad's Queen Elizabeth during its maiden trip around the British Isles. Phillip Schofield was on board too. So that to me is alarm bells. That to me is alarm bells that, Jimmy would like to go on these cruises or whatever, these Conrads, however you want to pronounce it and call it. But Phillip Schofield was also on board these places and also wanted to take an interest to be it's very odd. Very odd. Coincidental. And then the fact that he's been now seen of grooming or interest in young boys, going for restaurant dinner dates, and the fact that Simon was performing there. He could have just been performing there, to be honest with you. For argument's sake, devil's advocate, Simon could just be performing there. A lot of people assume that he was the one who passed Matthew on to Phillip or was connecting in some kind of capacity or way. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know, guys. My main objective is to discuss this theatre company and Phillip, not really Simon. I feel like Phillip is the one who, needs to be discussed properly. So, and of course, when we recall, Matthew was tweeting away, talking about how I'm just so happy and elated that everything has happened so quickly for me. So naive as a child. I'm so happy that all of this has been expedited for me from the theatre school, when these people were expediting it for him because they were luring him into their trap, wanted to get to know him, and then ended up being intimate with him a couple years down the line, because it just ended up being an affair. But you couldn't have had an affair, Philip, with any other grown man that you've been working with in your studios for the past, I don't know how long, 10, 15 years. You ended up having an affair with an 18-year-old. Somebody who was just young, 18, 19, 20, somebody who was just far younger than you. You couldn't have an affair with somebody in their 30s, 40s, still younger than you. You couldn't have done that. You had to go for somebody young, just like your brother, who was convicted for the mess that he was doing. Like, there's just so many connecting dots here, guys. So many connecting dots when it comes here. And the fact that these people from the Two Face Academy are now have spoken out, that other person from Reddit spoke out as well. Like, it just doesn't make sense for why anybody would be lying. Like, if all the stories that are from different sources are matching up, they're interlinking, and that's what I believe that the Two Face Academy is. So the lesson for this video is that, again, if you are a parent, if you're going to bring children into this life, whether they're boys or girls, and you're taking them to any kind of after school group, you need to make sure and vet the places where you're taking your children, because you never know. You could take your child to this football after group mentored by somebody who was an ex-footballer, and therefore could give him the links, and he's so passionate about being a footballer. The grown man knows this, and then of course he uses that to an advantage of the power imbalance and manipulates him and makes him do things for him that he shouldn't be doing. So if you are taking your children to anywhere, groups, places that may be, people need to be very careful with where they're taking their children, because you never know what's going to happen. And I firmly believe, in my own opinion, I'm not accusing, it's just my own opinion, and that is what I believe, that allegedly this whole Two-Face theatre place to me seems like a grooming ground of a place. Look after your children, because it is creepy as hell. We also saw that picture of Simon and Matthew. And listen, when I'm speaking on Simon, I'm literally just speaking on public information, so it really, like, there's no illegal matter of me discussing public info. That is that we're seeing on Twitter and Instagram, and, you know, companies' houses and etc. That picture of him, and then the person who entitled it "The Look of Love," in that picture apparently she knows, oh, she was dating Simon or something. I don't know what was going on between them. But why would you write that? Again, it's weird. It is very weird. It's very sus. So make of this information what you will, but I wanted to do a second deep dive, and maybe there'll be more information about Two-Face, but I feel like after this we've really covered the Two-Face Academy Theatre and all of this creepy information about this place. I don't really know if there's any much to cover when it comes to the theatre, but it is very troubling. Let me know thoughts on when it comes to this, guys. Subscribe to the channel, click that button. It is daily and consistent content. Subscribe, click that button, and I'll catch you guys soon for another review.